Hello everyone, so I am currently not long away from moving back down south for uni, so I thought I would do a summer reading wrap up of everything I have read whilst I have been back home. I didn't really want to do a monthly wrap up because I don't feel like I read enough in a month to do a monthly wrap up. It would be like anywhere from 2 to 6 books maybe, and sometimes like I'm pretty sure in July, I'm pretty sure every book I read in July was from the same series. So I thought I would do a summer wrap up to have a bit more things to say. Yeah, I'm going to start off with some statistics, and I would just like to say I was inspired by Meg from Meg with Books to do this. Before I watched her videos, I never used to sort of track statistics of what I was reading. I would just log it on Goodreads for my yearly challenge, but that would be about it. But ever since I started watching her wrap-ups, I have been also tracking those things, and I find it really interesting to have a look at. So I thought I would share my stats for the summer. I do just have my iPad here with all the statistics on it. So over the course of the summer, so this is counting the end of June, July, August, and up until currently midway through September. If I do read one more book before I go home, I will add it at the end, and any statistics that it affects, I will just put a little note on the screen somewhere. But yeah, this is everything I've read from like the last week of June till pretty much the end of September. So I read a total of 13 books over the summer, and that was 8 romance, 4 fantasy and 1 mystery thriller. In terms of ratings, I gave an average rating of 4.06, so I think that's very good, because I rarely give out 5 stars because I try to be more strict about it, because when I was younger I used to give like 5 stars to everything. So I've like reverted to the complete opposite direction now. I rarely give out 5s. But I had 2 5 stars, 1 4.5 star, 6 4 stars, 3 3.75 stars, and 1 3 star. So pretty good. I do give 0.75s out. I don't really give 0.25s out, but I do give 0.75s out because sometimes I feel like, especially with 3, sometimes I feel like 3.5 isn't enough, but 4 is a bit too much. In terms of authors, 5 authors were new to me, 1 was a debut, and 7 I had read before, and then 3 books were a standalone, 4 were the first book in a series, and 6 were just another book in a series. I had no end of a series books, but yeah. The final thing I've tracked is sort of publication year. So I had 1 book from 2015, 1 from 2016, 1 from 2017, 1 from 2018, 2 from 2021, 5 from 2022, and 2 from 2023. I do find that like quite interesting to track. Like, I know that the older books, the 2015 to 2018, that are 1 each, that's because of a series that I read, and then everything else is pretty much 21, 22 or 23. I do have plenty of books that are published quite a while ago that I do still want to get to. So we're going to start off with the books I read on holiday the last week of June. I came straight home from uni, went off to Turkey. The first book I read is Love Theoretically. I actually pretty much ended up, I think I got off the plane with like 50 pages or something left because our flight was so delayed that I had already started this like the night before, and then I read so much of it just in the airport just because of how delayed our flight was. I really enjoy Ali Hazelwood's books. The only one I've not read is her short story collection, which is Loath to Love You. Yeah, Loath to Love You. It's the only one I've not read. And I appreciate that it's very much same old, but I enjoy it. So yeah, I did give this a 4 stars, and if you're unsure what this is about, this follows Elsie and Jack. Elsie is one of them's a theoretical physicist, one is an experimental physicist, can't remember which way around it was, and apparently those 2 departments do not get on, and so they do not get on, but she is actually fake dating his brother. She works for a service that provides fake dates, and it all sort of blows up in her face when she has a meeting for work in her science work, and he is involved in that meeting because he knows her as his brother's girlfriend, who is like a librarian or something like that. I think that's what she tells his family that she is. But yeah, I did think this is really sweet, and yeah. Next book I read whilst on holiday is Dream On by Angie Hockman. This follows Cass, who wakes up from a coma and she has vivid memories of a life that hasn't happened. Vivid memories of a relationship with this man she's never met, and I think in her like memories she's even like moved in with him. You know, I think something like a big moment in a relationship has happened for them. They've been together for years, but she wakes up and she asks where he is, and her friends and family are like, I've never heard of this guy in my life. And her best friend is like, you tell me everything. If you were in a relationship for this long, I would know about it. But then she bumps into him in real life. I gave this 4 stars. The next book I read on my holiday is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This I gave 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. It's grumpy sunshine, small town. Really, really enjoyed it. So this follows Piper and Brendan. I'm really bad at remembering character names. And Piper is sort of a rich child, a socialite in whatever state she lives in, and it's actually her stepdad who is the rich parent. He's the one that has spoiled her and her sister all their lives, and she ends up in trouble once again, and he's like, right, that's it, you need to learn a lesson, and sends her back to her hometown where she was born, where her mum and dad are both from, and her sister decides to go with her because she feels like she needs her. And while she's there, she meets a fisherman named Brendan, and he is sort of like sees her as typical rich spoiled brat, but things don't necessarily follow that along. The last book I read whilst on holiday is Indigo Ridge by Daphne Perry. I gave this 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it because it was like a nice mix of romance and mystery. So I quite enjoy reading mystery thrillers. My stats for the summer would make you think otherwise, but I do enjoy a good mystery thriller. I love true crime, and so I really enjoyed this because neither one felt like the subplot. It felt like they were both like substantial plots. So Winslow, I think her name is, Winslow is the new chief of police or sheriff or high up person in police in this small town, which is actually her hometown, or like where her family's from at least. Her granddad is the mayor of this town, and Griffin is part of this big rich family in the town that is sort of like town royalty essentially, and he doesn't like her at all. He thinks that she is like sort of coming in and trying to take over and do things her way rather than the way that the town does them, because there are some self-unalivings that happen, and she believes they were not self-unalivings. But yeah, I really enjoyed this because, like I said, neither plot felt like a subplot. It didn't feel like romance with a little bit of mystery, didn't feel like mystery with a little bit of romance. It felt like a mystery romance, which I've not really read anything else like that. Next, I'm going to talk about All As One. It is ACOTAR by Sarah J Maas. I read all except A Court of Silver Flames this summer. I gave A Court of Thorns and Roses 3.75 stars. I gave both A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin 4, and I gave A Court of Frost and Starlight 3. If you are somehow unaware of the ACOTAR series, it follows Feyre, who is a human who is brought into the Fey realm, and her journey in that. A war is brewing. Don't really know what else to say without spoiling too much. There is a lot of romance in it, and this first book was originally meant to be a bit of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I do see the elements of that in it. This series did make me realise why people like found family. I will say that. I have never been a found family girly. I don't dislike it, but I'm not someone who's like, oh my god, it has found family in it, I need to buy it, I need to read it now. I'm just sort of like, eh. But the found family, particularly in Aka War, like there's one particular scene where this person is like, you lied to us and that put you in danger and I was scared for you, and like, don't do that because I would die for you, kind of thing. I was just like, it wasn't between two lovers, it wasn't between like siblings or anything, it was between just two people who are part of this group, and I was just like, that is why people love found family, and might make me love found family. I did want to read the whole series all the way through, but A Court of Silver Frames, why can't I say that word? A Court of Silver Flames is from Nessa's perspective, and I'm scared because I like having Feyre's perspective. Next, I read another series back to back, and that is the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. I haven't read Reckless yet because I don't own it. I probably will end up reading it on Kindle Unlimited instead, because I'm really trying to not buy books at the moment. I gave all of these pretty good ratings. I gave Flawless a 4.5, Heartless a 5, and Powerless a 4. So this follows, again, it's another family in a small town. The first one is Summer and Rhett, and Rhett is a professional bull rider and Summer's dad is his agent, and he has a bit of a PR crisis and she comes in to help, and then it's Rhett's family that is followed. So Heartless is his eldest brother and Summer's best friend. Powerless is actually not a technical brother, it's someone who they grew up with, family friend, best friend, Jasper, who is a hockey player, and Sloane, who is a ballerina. And Sloane is actually the family's, Sloane is the one that is blood related in this. She is their cousin, and Jasper just grew up with them, was their best friends, lived at their house practically. Yeah, I really enjoyed this series. Made me a bit of a cowboy girly. I'm definitely looking for more ranch cowboy wrecked. So if you do have any, I know there's Done and Dusted, I think it's called, but other than that, if you do have any, please let me know, because I really enjoyed these. Next, I have A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham. I gave this a 3.75 stars, and this was my one and only mystery thriller of the summer. So this follows Chloe, and her dad was a serial unaliver when she was a kid. I don't know how old she was actually. I think she was 12. She was 12 when her dad was arrested. She now lives in a town that is an hour away, so not completely removed, but not surrounded by all those people. But then girls start going missing again. Similar age, similar methods, like very much could be linked in some sort of way. I really enjoyed this. I did guess like an element of something that was going on, like briefly, but I did not guess the overarching plot twist at all. Yeah, really would recommend this. And last but not least, I read Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is the sequel to The Fine Print, which is part of the Dreamland Billionaires series. I gave this a 3.75 stars as well. It's marriage of convenience, fake marriage between a not CEO, but he's trying to be the CEO, and his assistant. In this series it follows three brothers, and each brother has a different thing that they need to do to receive their inheritance from their grandfather who recently died, and they basically own Disney. It's Dreamland, but it's Disney. Declan wants to be CEO, but to be CEO he has to marry and have a child. So he, in the first book you get elements of hearing about his assistant looking for someone, but she ends up being the one to marry him because the person they hired drops out last minute. We don't really know what he said that made her run away, but very start of the book, crisis, because they're about to announce the engagement. They've got a massive party and there is no bride to be. Iris, thinking fast on her feet, offers to be his wife, because if they turn around and say, psych, we're not announcing an engagement, it will then be very suspicious if he was to then get engaged not long afterwards, because the important part is that his grandfather's lawyer has to believe it's real. I really enjoyed this one. The reason why I couldn't give it a 4 is because there was definitely elements where he was a bit, he could be quite rude in the dynamic of boss and assistant. Like, he knew how much she was worth and knew he couldn't do this without her, but then there was just little one-off bits where I was like, that's maybe why a boss assistant dynamic isn't so great compared to just another workplace romance or even boss someone romance. The fact that it's his assistant, there was a couple moments that I just felt a bit about, although most people do prefer this to the first one. I prefer the first one. That is it for this video. If I have read any more since Terms and Conditions, I'll have inserted a clip, hopefully, after the last book, but if not, that was everything I read over the summer. Thanks for watching and see you in another video. Bye.